listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Thank you, Nighthawk, wherever you may be, and welcome to Platos Cave. That's right, for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio, coming to you from Australia, the land down under, mostly East Coast. Dave and I are East Coast. This is listener-funded radio, which means you, the listener, hold the purse strings to help us keep the electrons flowing, because they ain't free. In fact, they're getting more expensive. That's the one. Let the electrons, east side, baby. Electron side, yeah. Gang, these are gang signs. That's right. With the
west side, east side.
With the proton boys. Yeah, don't you mess with us, man. We got all the nuclear accelerators. What? So if you can donate, that would be great. Any kind of currency, including crypto, is good. It's really easy to do. You can go to the website revolution.radio, and there's a follow the bouncing ball. While you're there, and this is a good reason to donate, you can actually check out the archives that are free, completely free. And you know what? You can listen to us or any of the station's offerings on pretty much any platform, any app, anywhere, including the International Space Station, and at home, in the comfort of your own lounge, as it were, on a Grace tabletop digital radio. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave.
It's the Dark and Jung.
I'm glad we got that one out. For me, of course, it is the Dark people. And with that, we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. I know we keep saying it. It gets a bit old, crazy this and crazy that. But we've hit a new level of crazy.
Don't.
And Dave and I haven't. Yeah. No, we have. Now, Dave and I haven't had a chance to discuss the contents today. But there's a couple of things.
Surprise.
Surprise. Jack in the box. So. I mean, first, of course, the obvious. The American government is shut down.
That's right.
I find hilarious. See, I don't know if there's anybody else or any other government in the world that has these restrictions. I can't think of a government that is in danger, such as the American government, of shutting down on a regular basis. In fact, for extended periods of time. And the last time, I think, was it 3 months? Is that about right?
I don't know.
This was during.
I don't know how long it goes.
Yeah,
but 7 years ago they shut down. That was under Obama, I think. And,
actually, the last one was under Trump.
Okay. Well, there was another one prior to that as well. And this time they only needed, I think it was 7 senators to vote for it.
Correct.
Because it's like, what? Why don't they get paid to attend?
No. Sorry, let me explain. So they have to get a certain number of votes in the Senate for the budget to be passed, right?
That's
now,
right.
The Republicans didn't get that. They fell short, I think, by 7 votes. They did all vote, but they couldn't get enough Democratic senators to cross the aisle. Okay?
Oh,
so that's the problem. So while the Republicans can or are controlling the Senate, they do not have enough votes to pass the budget, so they need Democratic support. The Democrats said, no, you're cutting all these aid packages for people that need it.
You guys, I'm going home.
So, so we're not going to do it, right? And the last time Chuck Schumer voted with the Republicans, he got a lot of heat from his constituents for that.
Sure.
So they didn't, and Trump says, "Oh, it's your fault." Well, it's not true. The truth is, Donald Trump has taken an extreme position in his negotiations like he normally does. And now we'll see. A lot of experts, though, say, and this is not me because I don't know enough about it in this particular circumstance. A lot of experts are saying this could be a very long shutdown potentially because of the impasse they're at and how intractable the position has become between the Democrats and the Republicans. And in my opinion, just another reason to get away, or to do away with the two-party system. So that's happening, Dave. That's just insane. The government. There's no other government in the world that shuts down like this. But whatever. Another thing that happened is the peace plan, the Gaza peace plan that Netanyahu and Trump and their people worked out without any involvement of the Palestinians. It's funny. It's like, Dave, you want to sell your house, and your wife and I are talking about it, but you're not involved, right? But we're going to sell the house, right? And if you don't like it, well, we're going to kick you out, baby. That's what's going to happen. That's what this is. It's insane, right? If you have a peace plan, you should get all parties involved. And the problem, of course, is if Netanyahu says yes to it, you can rest assured that it doesn't take the Palestinian people into account at all. Okay,
of course,
it doesn't serve. It doesn't serve to. In fact, one of a senior Hamas figure apparently said that it only serves Israel's interests, and I'm not surprised. I've told you guys before. Donald Trump will not do anything that's going to hurt Netanyahu or Putin. Nothing ever. Okay, and now, because he said, "Oh, if you rejected Gaza, then we're going to come after you. We're going to let Israel finish the job." Israel has already killed 60,000 Palestinians. 60,000 Palestinians.
It could have been a lot more.
Okay, they stopped the flotilla. Oh, look, the official number is 60,000. I think the actual number is, and I don't want to pay statistics here.
It's probably a lot more. So
it's probably north of 200,000.
It could be.
That's what I would say, because
right.
it's rubble. They haven't dug up the people, and then you have the people that weren't killed directly by, let's say, bombs
there you go.
or
That's
bullets.
right. Yep.
But rather the
plight,
ongoing effects.
The plight of no food, no water, no sanitation, nothing.
All of that. All of that. And I do have to apologize to our esteemed commentator, I think it is commentator, yeah, on our shorts. I won't be able to talk about the dark side of the moon today. I do promise, though, we will talk about the dark side of the moon on Sunday. I'm going to put some more materials together.
Looking forward to it.
It's really some fascinating stuff. It really is. But look, so this is where we are, and they stopped the flotilla today. The flotilla had obviously Greta Thunberg, but also...
Oh, that's right, yes.
No. But also the grandson of Nelson Mandela was on the boats. And there were about 50 ships, hundreds of people, and they are now all being taken in by the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. So is it a publicity stunt? No, because people say, they call these boats the selfie yachts, or the selfie flotilla. Mm-hmm. To be clear, a few years ago, people were killed on those boats.
That's right.
The Israelis opened fire and executed members of the boat crew. Okay, and the reason they didn't want them to land anywhere near Gaza is because they say they're in league with Hamas. I don't know if they are or not. I would be astounded if they were. But, I mean, what, are they smuggling nuclear weapons on those boats? I don't think so. But, of course, it's only a drop in the ocean. But they're testing it. These flotillas, they're getting bigger, by the way. 50-odd boats this time is the biggest they've ever had. And, again, hundreds of people. So it's a terrible situation. Netanyahu is getting his way. Trump is giving him carte blanche in the region. They're already talking about redeveloping Gaza. Forget the Palestinians; they don't even exist anymore. I mean, you can't ignore this level of callousness. The entire world, this is the entire world except the United States of America and Israel, have called what is happening in Gaza genocide. Mm-hmm. Israelis in Israel are calling it genocide. Israelis in Israel, okay? Calling it genocide. No longer ethnic cleansing. No. This is now genocide. And what are we doing here? This war, has it been 2 years? Is it 2 years, Dave? Or it's just 1 year? It's 2 years,
right? It feels like forever, to be honest with you.
It feels like forever, but in this time, with the overwhelming force that the IDF has, and with most of Gaza in rubble, How is it that Hamas still functions? That's what I want to know, right? Okay, the leadership of Hamas is outside of Gaza, they're in Dubai and other places, sure enough. But there's still a military force, apparently.
It's been 2 years, Mackie, yes, 2 years in a couple of days' time.
It's insane. This is almost as bad as the Ukraine war.
Did
right?
you know, Mackie?
Except,
did you know there's actually a Wikipedia page called Gaza Genocide?
Yeah, I believe that.
It's got its own Wikipedia page. I've not liked Wikipedia up until right this minute.
They never accepted my edits.
That's correct.
But that's a whole different story. The thing is this, though, right? And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this is a people, right? This is a people that was persecuted for most of their existence while they were in Exodus in Europe, right? In the diaspora. They're out there in Europe, and the Russians and the Germans and the French, nobody in Europe, gave the Jews an easy time. And the Germans, of course, took it to another level. Though these mass killings were not new, the Russians killed like 100,000 Jews in the late 19th century, which led to my grandparents fleeing the Ukraine to Germany. What a gangster move that was. But so millions of Jews were killed, and then of course millions of people belonging to other fringe groups in society or minorities that the Nazis didn't like. And now we're seeing it again. We didn't stop the genocide in Rwanda. we didn't stop the ethnic cleansing in the Balkans. Okay, now we're not stopping. We didn't stop at the actions against the Uyghurs in China, and not that we had much chance to do that. And now we're not stopping the clearly starting as an ethnic cleansing and now having evolved or devolved into a genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. It is shocking. Okay, it really is shocking. So I think what we will see at the end of this, we will see the West Bank, which is quite large, actually, if you look at the map. Bigger than Gaza. So we're looking at Gaza and the West Bank becoming part of Israel. That's the plan. That's the plan. That will happen if America doesn't step in. America is not going to step in and prevent this. We will see hundreds of thousands of Palestinians killed. At the end of this, however long it takes, we will see hundreds of thousands of Palestinians killed. That's it, full stop. No, not sugarcoating it. That's what's going to happen, right? And at the same time, we have Putin testing the Europeans with drones and missiles and warplanes, etc., etc. Europeans are getting together, trying to come up with a common defense strategy, which they probably will. And America, Donald Trump is sitting on his hands. He's got his thumb up his ass. Okay, he's not doing anything that is in any way useful. What he did, I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch the military speech, Dave?
I did. I watched all of it, actually.
I have never seen such drivel in my life. Now, you have to understand, in America, the military is apolitical. Has to be. Right? It has no interest in politics. It can't display any interest in politics. You can't be a political person in the military, especially if you have a high rank. You just can't be. Right? That's the American way of life. Always has been. Right? And there was a stony silence. There's no applause, no nothing. The generals and admirals and so forth, they were just sitting there and listening to whatever Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump had to say. That's what they did. But there was a lot of backlash afterwards. A lot of the generals didn't like what they heard, especially talking about American cities as training ground for the American military. I mean, what does that even mean, Dave? American cities?
I wish I knew. I don't know. That's the problem. It's difficult to work out what the true meaning is for all of this. My take on the entire planet right now is war footing.
100%.
There's never
100%.
been a time without a conflict that has, like, without a global conflict that has so many. I'm not saying nation states, but nations, all on the edge, on the precipice of a global conflict in such a way, except for the one you're going to mention.
No. Actually, you see, this is the funny thing, Dave. And I agree with you that the war drums are beating, but this is the crazy thing.
Sure.
So we have a lot of active theaters of war. The most obvious and prominent, obviously, Ukraine, Russia, and Gaza, or Israel, Palestine, right? Those are the two most obvious at the moment. There are others as well. Africa, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening.
Oh yeah, there is.
Cambodia, Thailand, etc. But so these are localized conflicts. Okay, they're not even proxy wars in any way. But America is preparing for war within. So I agree, the war drums are going, but the target or the enemy, the perceived enemy, is a domestic enemy, which is really, really odd. They're not saying, "Oh, we're going to get ready to fight China. We're going to get ready to fight Russia. We're going to fight." No. They're actively withdrawing from the international theaters of war to focus on American cities, on the enemy within. This is what Donald Trump said. We are facing an invasion from within, which is an oxymoron. It's actually a nonsensical phrase. There's no invasion from within.
You can't have an invasion in.
That's crazy.
Yep. So
but that's what he said.
Is this rather some kind of weird intel that we're not ready on, where there is a people across the globe who could possibly bring an uprising in all of our countries? I'm not saying there is, and I'm not saying who I'm mentioning here, because I'm really not doing that. But is this a possibility, or to put military on the streets like you would have seen in Ireland with the not PLA, what are they called? IRA. With the IRA back in the day, with fully armed, like in Israel, fully armed troops everywhere. If you see that in the US, it's coming to your town. We don't have
but there was a reason.
Troops here, and I'm concerned if there was something that was so, if we were all facing the same risk, then our country is doing nothing. It's at the beach sunbaking. It's just, everyone else.
Yes.
If there was something, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really disturbing. If there was something, I don't want us to get troops on our streets.
Look,
if there was something,
troops on the streets are terrible. I mean, I've seen it, as you know, in Turkey when I visited my relatives there. And it was after a while it became a normal thing.
Out of all the countries in the world, except for the digital ID that's looming on the 10th of December this year, we're one of the most free countries that I can imagine.
We are. Australia, we are the lucky country, Dave.
Apart from New Zealand. New Zealand's pretty good.
Actually, I think New Zealand is probably a notch better.
Yes.
Because they don't get involved in any global affairs at all, which is... I don't think anybody hates New Zealanders.
No.
I don't think there's anybody that hates New Zealanders, ever. Anyway, but look, you're right about the IRA, but the IRA was because that conflict has been brewing for hundreds of years, and there was an insurrection in Ireland, and that's why the British troops were deployed. But in America, you see, there is no insurrection. The only insurrection, or the only thing that you can call an insurrection, is what happened on January 6th in 2020, right? That's as close as you could get to something like that. Everything else is not there. But Donald Trump said in Portland, Oregon,
That's right.
They're warlike conditions on the streets. What?
I'm not seeing any of that anywhere.
So, but it's a worry. So he wants to deploy. Look, there's a reason he wants to do it. It's a very simple reason. Okay, the midterms will tell us, if we get to them, how strong the Republican Party is still. Or it's really not. It's really not the Republican Party. It's the Donald Trump Party. And if the midterms turn out disastrous, I don't think Donald Trump wants to go to an election. Now, the best way not to go to an election is to call martial law, right? And if you keep poking the bear and you keep kicking the hornet's nest, something will happen. So if you deploy military, not police, military, into American cities, and you give them carte blanche, like they can use any force they need. That's what he said when he talked about Portland. I mean, what? And then Hexet talked about we don't. I'm paraphrasing, but we're not going to have any more Nancy rules of engagements. We're going to be maximum lethality. We're going to kill and hunt, and we're going to destroy our enemy. I mean, the rules of engagement are there for a reason, mostly to protect civilians. That's what the rules of engagement are for. Also, if you have surrendering troops, then according to the Geneva Conventions, you must treat them properly, as war, prisoners of war. But it sounded to me like Hexet is just going to throw it all out. We don't need that Nancy stuff and no more fatties in the military. No more fatties.
That was really interesting. Also, the appropriately strengthed people are going to be fighting. I tried to be nice, as you can tell. So, if there was something we're not read into, instead of a civil uprising or civil control, if there wasn't civil control and there was really something brewing which they don't want to, stir up before its time, then that's really kind of scary, because that could happen anywhere in the Western cities, Western countries. If there was, it's a big if there was really something there. I think building the military up is a good idea if you're interested in having a strong military. Our military had a look, Mekki, at what it would look like if they had Gen X and Y. Sorry, Gen X and Y. No, that's wrong. The millennials, right?
The alphas.
Yeah. So they looked at what the current youngest age military conscription would look like and were devastated. So they changed the rules in Australia so that they could get anyone they wanted as long as you were lived here for at least 2 years. And it allowed foreigners to fight in Australia for Australia. Not even
that's
citizens.
The same principle. Yeah, but that's the same principle as the French Foreign Legion, and that actually works really well, to be honest.
Yeah, but this was the frightening realism, the reality of the soft. Let's say the same without saying the same words that Hegseth used. Our generations that have just become old enough to be, young fighting people. Too weak.
We have
and they're not even inclined to fight.
No, we have created. I think by now, I want to say probably 2 or 3 generations of people. I'm painting with a broad brush, and I know it's a generalization. So it's, of course, not everybody. Of course not. Because if it were, then we wouldn't have any competitive sports people left. No, but largely you're correct. We have mollycoddled our young. Everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a trophy. Hurrah! It's not your fault. And everybody's feelings should be acknowledged. And we have gone very far with this whole DEI. Is it DEI thing?
That's the one it is.
And in my opinion, too far. I want to tell you what I believe. This is what I believe. Everybody has the right to do whatever they want, as long as they don't hurt anyone else. If you want to be a cat, you can be a cat, but don't ask me to clean your litter for you, right? So
that's true.
It's a private thing that you do behind closed doors. You can do whatever you like. I don't care. And I've got friends who are polyamorous, who are trans, who are gay, who are straight, believe it or not. And ultimately, my friendship with them is not affected by their sexuality or by the way they identify as whatever. It's not, because it's just one aspect of who they are. Are they smart? Are they stupid? Are they nice? Are they users? Are they, are they hardworking? Are they lazy? I mean, there's so many other aspects to someone's personality than just their sexuality, right? And in fact, the older you get, the less your sexuality becomes an issue. It's just the way it works, true. Right? So ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, is it really worth the mustard, that we're putting on this sausage? I don't think it is. And we need to focus on other things that are more important. And it just doesn't matter, right? What does matter is, and this is where Dave is 100% correct, we have, like I said, mollycoddled a couple generations now that are too soft, okay, that are no longer able to withstand the vicissitudes of life, the rigors, the quagmires we find ourselves in, right? And that's the real problem that we have here, not just in Australia, but everywhere else as well. Now, in Australia, we've got a very specific problem. We've got 27 million people. That's Greater New York for you Americans out there. 27 million people in a landmass about the size of United States of America, about the landmass, same size, right? Yeah. And our military is relatively small again, and there's really you can't really defend Australia because it's a continent surrounded by oceans. But by the same token, you can't conquer Australia either because it's a continent surrounded by oceans. That's right. That's right. With a lot of desert and deadly critters everywhere. This is hard terrain. Look, unless you've been out bush camping, and unless you follow the main arterial roads, of which there aren't many, it's really hard to traverse Australia on foot or even in a car if you haven't got those roads. So if there ever were an invasion of Australia, the guerrilla movement that would spring up to defeat the invaders would only have to destroy a few bridges, a few roads, and that would be it. Because the thing is, yes, we make a lot of stuff, a lot of food, but you have to transport it over long distances, and you're vulnerable when you do that. And so
there's an additional consideration, Mickey, and it's the roads themselves are terrible. They're not freeways. They're not highways where you can travel at great speed. It would honestly, that Kiev invasion that was flawed. So the same thing. If you left, say you landed in Darwin or somewhere, because it's got an airport, you can land there and take over the city. A lot of people have guns there, so good luck with that. There is military there. But if you could take it over and then start traveling south, you'd go through or near Ayers Rock and down to Melbourne or Adelaide. We know where you're going. There's only 3 roads pretty much from Darwin. You're either going down the western side or the eastern side or the middle. So we can plan. We can plan around where you're going, and there's no surprise. We're not going to be surprised by it. So, and it can take 4 days to drive that distance easy. It's because it's not an easy road. It's not fast traveling. And so we have, like you said, Mackie, but the addition that there isn't anything that's food. So you bring in everything.
Water.
And water. That's right. Yeah. There's no rivers or lakes or anything with fresh water. Good luck with that.
We're talking Death Valley heat.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
In the middle of Australia. And in fact, there are warning signs. Last petrol station for 800 kilometers, for 1,000 kilometers. Fill up now, brother. This is mine. And you have to bring your water because you're not going to find any water along the way. So, so I'm not too worried about the invasion. What Dave said, though, is interesting. I personally can't see how it works logistically to have an invading force already in a country. We do know there are sleeper cells. I mean, it started a long time ago, but it really came to the fore during the Cold War. We had sleeper cells in each other's countries, like assassins or saboteurs or spies, and they would be activated, and sometimes they were mind controlled. They didn't even know who they were.
Yeah, that's right.
Until they were activated. Now, this is real stuff. This actually happened, and it's still happening, right? So you could be a sleeper for all we know, out in listener land, and you don't even know it, and then someone activates you, and you do whatever you have to do. So this is, of course, possible.
They ring you up,
but,
Mickey, and you answer the phone, and they say Platinum Rosebud, and then you go and do your thing.
That's right, and before you know it, you're sitting on a petrol station with a sniper rifle. But it's certainly
Thank you.
a whole different story to bring an army into a country.
Yes.
And the thing is this, right? So there are a lot of large cities in the U.S., as you can imagine. Now, mostly on the east and west coast, not so much in the middle of the United States. And the United States has, I think, about 330 million citizens, which is about double what Russia has and about a quarter of China. But again, it's the size of a population. And the question then becomes, so far, I think Donald Trump has singled out 4 or 5 cities, which is a drop in the ocean in context here, right? And they're all run by Democrat mayors or governors or whatever the case may be, but none of them are Republican, right? So I think
that'll learn them.
If there were an enemy within, that'll learn them. If there were an enemy within, I don't know, they would. I don't. Well, maybe they would. I just don't think they would just target Democratic cities.
Yeah, see, that's not the enemy within that I was kind of trying not to talk about. I don't believe that. So if you, I think what's present and clear and present danger for Trump or his vision or Hegseth is nothing to do with what I'm thinking of. So when an aggressor, when America took on Japan, we know that they incarcerated all of the Japanese on American soil. That was just what they did. So if there was a threat from outside, that then they're people on the inside of whomever country, then that would be a big thing you'd have to deal with. There's large numbers. It's our countries are vastly different as a cross-section of origin than before World War II. So I think the threat that you would be faced with, I'm just throwing this, I'm just spitballing, but I'm throwing this out there and saying, well, if there really was a threat that we're not read in on, where there'd be something where we'd have to do something to protect ourselves from inside, then this would be it. But why launch now is my big question.
Well, that's a good question as well, right? It's in fact it's a question that we really would have to ask. So, and again, if you look at the actions that are taking place in Gaza and in Lebanon, it is clear, to me at least, that the Israelis had been planning this for a long time. And once everything was in place, then they started to strike. And I do believe that the October attacks, best case scenario, they were allowed to happen, best case scenario. And it opened up the door for Netanyahu and his people to do whatever they wanted to, both in crippling Hezbollah in Lebanon. There's now a 30-kilometer dead zone in Lebanon. They had demolished entire villages, so this is no man's land, 30 kilometers, right? And then also, of course, Hamas in the occupied territories. And I say this because of, again, I mentioned it before, Dave knows what I'm saying here, both the pagers and the mobile phones. And to do that takes a lot of doing. And it destroyed the command structure of Hezbollah significantly. Then, of course, was degraded internally, probably with help from others. And the only standing player in, I guess, and this is funny, both for Israel and for the Saudis, is Iran. That's the only player left that they both worry about equally.
And it was on the list.
It was on the list. It'll happen eventually. And right now we have seen sanctions being reintroduced again after some years, so that's interesting. But I can tell you that these things take planning and time, right? You don't go to war without having really good plans. Of course, once the funny thing is this: there's a saying that a military plan, only survives for as long as you don't have any enemy contact. Right? Once you have enemy contact, all plans go out the window. Now, largely plans still survive. I mean, you have to change your tactics on the ground, I'm sure, and also your strategies as you come into real, conflict and into a fighting situation and scenario, right? But it's funny, the Americans solved this problem, or at least the Marines. The Marine Corps goes in with overwhelming firepower.
Mm-hmm.
That's the credo of the Marines. We don't want to fight fair. We're coming in with overwhelming firepower. That's how we win, right? And that's a really good military doctrine, right? And I know what Hexad is saying, but Hexad he's walking a very, very dangerous tightrope.
You still see him as a Fox News host. I know. I get it.
Look, he was in the military. I get it,
mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. Oh no, I do. But what he's doing is it's almost destroying 80 years of military tradition and history and a move away from barbaric war, right? Now, America held itself to a higher standard, and of course, we always, they always slip up Guantanamo Bay and Abu Ghraib and places like that, right? But Western nations, I should say, in general, have always tried to hold themselves to a higher standard rather when it came to warfare, and that was born out of World War I and World War II and the horrors. The problem is that the most people that have experienced those horrors are now dead, and it's easy to say like this, like, oh, we're going to no rules of engagement, and we're going to hunt them down, we're going to kill them all. If that's the attitude you go in with, that's the attitude you're going to be met with.
That's right.
You see, if your enemy knows that you're not going to adhere to any rules of engagement, then
it's game on.
Rules of war, it's game on, and that is not good for anyone. Funny thing, after the 30 Years' War,
did you know that there's restrictions for the use of lasers, that you're not allowed to blind your enemy, like physically blind people? That's actually that's part of those rules of engagement. You're not allowed to use fragmenting bullets, for instance.
Yeah, correct.
Uranium. Yeah, and there are rules around all of this, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be adhered to.
No, same with chemical and biological weapons. We always say that, Saddam Hussein and the Assads used the chemical weapons on their own people, how horrible it is, blah, blah, blah. And it is horrible. Mustard gas. Anyway, I don't want to go. It's just too horrible. But the interesting thing is, after the 30 Years' War, in 1618 to 1648, the European nations were horrified by what had happened. And the European princes and kings and whatever, they all got together more or less, and they decided war should now be a gentlemanly affair, which actually lasted all the way up into the American Civil War. So the wars, as they were confined for the most part to the battlefield. So two armies would face each other, come off almost like a chess game, if you will, right? And people will come and watch. Believe it or not. In fact, people brought picnics to the Civil War battles, and to watching like a sporting event. That actually happened, right? You can look it up, because the rules were so strict, and the military code was so severe that you had to, the officers were in charge of making sure that the soldiers remained as a fighting unit and adhered to the discipline. That was their job. That's why for the longest time, and it's part of the Geneva Conventions as well, that's for the longest time, officers are not allowed to be targeted disproportionately. Because the belief is that if you do that, then the battlefield just dissolves into chaos and slaughter, right? Which, but if you have some order to it, and you try to minimize casualties and even look after your own soldiers, withdraw when you need to withdraw, etc., etc. But to me, again, it sounds like it's all out the window. Right?
So remember the times, Becky, where the military brass would stand on the hill and move their blocks of units into the battlefield.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
That is that gentleman's style of war.
Yeah.
Now, I think if you remove remove all the band-aids, if you remove any of the restrictions, I think it's going to be a hideous event.
Oh,
it really is.
We're back to I think barbarism on a large scale, because that's. But now having discussed all of this and having had the discussion around all the things we've just had, and I said how crazy it's been, right? This is not yet the craziest thing I've seen.
Don't. What is it?
So
I'm so curious.
Hold on to your head. I know, and I only read it just before the show. So
righto.
Listen, Emily Blunt, the actress, as you probably know,
Emily Blunt.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, I like Emily Blunt. Among Hollywood stars outraged over AI actor Tilly Norwood. An AI actor named Tilly Norwood has been causing a stir after its Dutch creators said the synthetic performer is in talks with talent agencies. Norwood could be mistaken for a young aspiring actress when one glances at its social media. The brunette poses for photos and showcases a fully AI-generated comedy sketch where it is described as having girl next door vibes. I may be AI, but I'm feeling very real emotions right now, Tilly's creators wrote on her page. I'm so excited for what's coming next. So, now, Emily Blunt, Natasha Lyonne, Whoopi Goldberg, they're all saying she's not an actor. No, what that is, the AI. It's a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers, which is true. That's how you train AI. The Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, or SAG-AFTRA, said in a statement, it has no life experience to draw from, etc., etc., etc. But Norwood's Instagram page includes headshots from 4 filming tests and an advertisement spoofing programs on the BBC, including being superimposed on the often star-studded couch on BBC's The Graham Norton Show.
Wow.
So we are now potentially in a world where not just the writers or whatever, right? Because there was a worry that the writers would be taken over by AI, but the actors themselves could be, taken over by AI or AI-generated actors. To me, that is the craziest story of the day. I think it's complete insanity.
Well, Mackie, the consideration that AI actors now are okay to be used, people aren't, the main actors, the frontline people aren't complaining that extras can be added into shot.
Correct.
And they can be AI generated. Let's just call it.
Correct.
Let's call it just CG, right? So they're
sure.
CG, but there's an artist that makes CG, whereas the AI actors, for instance, are not specifically moved and nuanced by direction. So if
correct,
just on the latter there, where you have extras in the background that are AI generated, Mackie, that isn't that Running Man? Isn't that scene where he's running through an empty courtyard, and it's just filled with AI generated people?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
We are so close to it. Mackie, I did send you a message today where I used a Snapchat filter. And I was on the train.
And what a pretty girl you are!
I'm not going to put it on screen, but I thought,
do.
I can't at the moment. So,
okay.
But I'll do it. Hang on a minute. Just give me a second.
Because Dave made himself into a rather saucy little thing, didn't he?
What? Scrumptious little crumpet. Now you're talking it up, right? and I'm not sure that's what it was, but you know.
Oh, that's what it was, brother.
So hang on,
That's
middle
what it was.
screen. So middle screen, that's just me on the train going to work, but it's an AI filter on Snapchat. And now I'm not really a Snapchat kind of person. I just played with the thing to see, well, what can it do today? And I was quite surprised by it. I was rather surprised, Mackie, to be honest with you.
You said we're close. I'm saying we're well and truly there.
Yeah.
We're well and truly. I don't think we're close. And in fact, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We'll come to a point where we can no longer trust anything that's digitally recorded. Okay, I can see a time when courts and similar institutions will require you to produce analog film or analog recordings or anything like that, right? That's why I suspect. And I don't think we're very far from it, because when I watched South Park, the first episode this season, right? And in South Park, it's a cartoon, that you can clearly see it's a cartoon, but the last 2 or 3 minutes where Donald Trump is running through the desert is actually AI generated video footage of Donald Trump. And you probably haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it
yet. But if you didn't know any better, right? Then
that's right.
It could be the real Donald Trump running through the desert, taking off his clothes as he's running through the desert, because it is so realistic, right? It doesn't look like the old CGI generated human-like actors, if you will, right? This looks just like Donald Trump running through the desert. I think his weight is exaggerated. I think they made him fatter in the clip. And they made a few other anatomical adjustments as well. But the authenticity, I think, is the word of it. Really shocked me. It shocked me. It did shock me. So I think we're there.
I agree. And this is just for a simple fee. You can make something currently, right? I mean, right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And that disturbs me greatly that it exists at all. You can make anyone that currently has images of themselves online, you can make them a character in what you're doing, and you can have them say anything you want. And the believability of it. Now, we, Mackie, you and I know our audience, is attuned to what you would believe if it were real. And then seeing something that wouldn't be possible, or words coming from someone that is contrary to what their normal beliefs are, it changes everything. And I know for instance, our parents would have a very hard time distinguishing what was real, what wasn't real. And look, it was it's Obama. Yeah. He said blah blah blah, and I would say, actually no, Dad, that's just a computer generated thing. No, it's really him. Look, I'm not saying my dad ever did that, but you have to admit that there is a generation above us that is completely fooled by it. Because they don't, they're not new. Like, I'm going to use the word nuanced. Today was brought to you by the word nuanced. They're not nuanced into it. They didn't see the evolution of it and understand what to look for, what little hints. And I watched not a documentary, but a feature-rich, science-made, how does AI create an image from snow? You know, like when the TV in the back in black and white days, it was just frosted snow, and it creates an image out of the snow. Well, what they did was they trained AI to make an image into snow, and then back again, and then keep repeating, and rinse and repeat that on everything that ever existed. And what it does, it leaves telltale signatures in perfectly rendered AI images. There's a signature that's detectable because it's only ever creating it from snow. It isn't actually
Yes.
filming something in reality, which is when you put these certain techniques through it like a detector, it won't pick those up in real footage, but it picks them up in AI generated imagery. So
Correct.
I like the idea of seeing an actor aged all the way through their life without practical makeup, just by doing deep fakes. I like the idea of doing that, making someone younger, but it's really just the same actor, but they're visually younger. We've been doing it for such a long time. It's not funny, right?
Yeah.
But isn't it scary
I do like...
that it could be done to anything, and now we can't tell?
Well, it's so cheap now. Like, it used to be that it wasn't cheap, but now it is. It's very, very cheap.
ILM,
That's why it's available.
You had to own the company to get something out of it. And then, still, Grand Moff Tarkin, I'll say, and Princess Leia were shite. They look so awful as AI generated or computer generated people.
Yes, yeah, I mean, and it's only a few years. You know?
Yeah, that's right. Now it's imperceivable.
Yeah, and the problem, of course, is these days that forget this big political thing, but just ordinary people. You can now, if you have someone that has a beef with you, they can superimpose your head over, all kinds of unsavory material, and it could really be quite damning. Now, of course, it goes the other way as well. What I mean by that is this. So yes, you can do that, but by the same token, you could say then, if truly you did that, you could argue, no, that's not me. Someone just fake news that. It's a fake, whatever, right? Similar to what Donald Trump does now with the defense on the letter. Oh, it's a fake. It's not real. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I honestly don't really care, to be honest with you. But it's now this defense that is open to actual pedophiles, actual predators, actual murderers that say, oh no, that's not me. That's some kind of AI thing. I didn't do that. Proof that it's me. Prove it, right? Of course, that has become harder now if you have the proof, but the proof is no longer accepted, and that's where we are heading. Like I said, rapidly. And there's no defense, and of course, the people that are most exposed to that kind of terrible behavior and terrible danger are the children. Right, our children, which are online, and that's why I, for the longest time, avoided having any images of my kids online. I don't think there are very many. The only images that exist of my kids online were taken by friends without my permission. Right, because I don't want images of my kids online. I just don't.
Yeah,
and of course it's impossible to completely control, but I want to minimize it as much as I can. And I've explained to them, and they're 10 and 12, the two girls, and the boy is too young still. But I explained to them the dangers. Like, you will get a device soon enough. They haven't one yet, right? But just be aware that this is stuff that can happen. And I'm honest. I tell them what could happen, right? In terms they understand. And you have to do that. This is almost like the bees and the birds talk you have to have. It's uncomfortable, right? But you have to tell your children there's danger. There's real danger out there. And this danger doesn't come from crazy people. This danger could be coming from your friends.
You wait, Becky, until it comes from the AI.
Oh, brother. I hear you.
Could you imagine, like, it's saying we only got 1 minute left, but could you imagine if AI wanted to bring somebody down? It could do whatever it wanted.
Yeah.
And you're not going to talk your way out of it because you won't be given a voice.
But imagine, so let's say the AI does that, and then it deletes your bank account.
That's right.
And then it deletes your birth certificate. It deletes your social security number if you're in the States or whatever.
You become
guess what? All of a sudden,
a non-citizen.
Yeah. There's a really great TV show that was made in the late 90s called Nowhere Man. Oh. If you can get your hands on it, watch it. It was way before AI, but what happened to this guy, he essentially was erased. Overnight, he was erased. And he spends the entire series trying to find his way back, if you will, right? Quite disturbing, but brilliantly done. And just one of those TV shows that stay with you forever. And Dave is right. We're almost at the hour. Flatty just posted something in the chat, which is quite funny. The mariachi band. There's Donald Trump, 4 Donald Trumps, and they're all the musicians in the mariachi band. All 4 Donald Trumps. That's funny. I mean, but imagine once we can make it physical reality, Dave. Once we start cloning or producing cyborgs or whatever, where forget video. This is now physical reality. All bets off. Hey, this is the music. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't go anywhere. I'm sure the station is going to have something awesome coming up shortly. So don't touch that dial. You can hear us again on Sunday with the shiny side out. I will talk about the the dark side of the moon. If you see us out in the wild, please like, subscribe, comment, share. It all helps. But most of all, Dave,
be safe, everyone.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I'm just trying to stop the recording.
Oh, good.